Welcome to Beauties, you beauty. Let's go.
All right. So this is going to be such an unbelievable episode. We've got an interview with the one and only Lix Knox coming to us from Ottawa with the PWHPA. So before we get into it, the best part about it is always doing the highlights of your interviewees because that always makes everybody super comfortable. Because Lix Knox has a resume like no other. Laurier alumni, 2010 CIS MVP, CWHL member with the Markham Thunder, PWHPA member, board member, commentator, and not only that, firefighter and a wife, and somebody who I have had the absolute pleasure of being able to share the ice with. Lix Knox, welcome to the Beauty Sports Desk. How is Ottawa treating ya?
Wow, what an intro. Yeah, it's been awesome out here, honestly. The hospitality's been great, and yeah, we're one day in and here we are on championship day, so we're pretty pumped.
And you know what? When watching the games yesterday, the fans looked awesome.
Yes, I was really impressed with the turnout, honestly. I think they were a little shy. Like it's hard when we're doing these showcases because they have favorite players on both teams, and they kind of just cheer for everyone, which is kind of a cool setting to be in. But great turnout, and I'd expect to see hopefully a little bit more today as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because you're right. In these showcases, you get players from both sides where you're like, okay, well, I love her and she's unreal. And everybody on the ice is phenomenal. So you're just out there supporting the love of hockey, which is great. But for the listeners that may not understand the PWHPA and what the long-term goal is, would you be able to just give like the Noxy snippet of what the goal is for the PWHPA?
Yeah, I'll try to kind of summarize it. Sorry, excuse me. So the PWHPA is an association of players that we basically formed when the CWHL folded. And originally, our initial concept was basically just we need to get all these players on the same page and kind of change the trajectory of what we've seen in women's hockey. Sorry. And so it started out very, unclear, very just what are we going to do? It was literally just players. We had no support staff around us. We were just like, we knew we had to do something. So slowly we started to build out our team with Ballard Sparrow, who's our law team. Billie Jean King Enterprise came on as advisors to kind of help, direct us and guide us. And then, of course, we hired Jana as our operations manager. And then we started to build out like our sponsorship team, and it just kind of kept growing and growing. And these are all just networks that, us as players have been in. And so when we finally kind of put it all together, our overall goal is to create a sustainable, viable future for women's hockey. And when we say sustainable, it's not just, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Like the thing that's been missing in women's hockey and, sometimes in women's sports is just the business model that, these investors can come to, see their money grow, see the long-term, viability for them, and also obviously create opportunity for women to stay in the game. So it's been a long 3 years, I'll be honest with you. It hasn't been easy, but I do feel like we're closer than ever to achieving our goals.
I love that. I think that sums it up really well. And that's one thing that, Addie and I talk about on a weekly basis is having a place to dream, right? And I know we've sat here in our chairs and talked about how connected women's hockey is. And I mean, you and I have never met in person, but we got connected through this sport. And it kind of just feels like you naturally know each other, even though you don't.
Yeah.
And so I think for our listeners, just to hear that inside track of what you guys are working so hard for. And I mean, Addie and I from our chairs want to say thank you because we coach a spring hockey team of U13 girls who are excited to be the next Lix Knox or the next MPP or whatever. And so for all the hard work you guys put in, sitting here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, a lot of appreciation for you and the rest of the team that's working so hard.
Well, the love is felt all around, honestly, because that is exactly why we did this. And, when we named our tour the Secret Dream Gap Tour, obviously Secret came on as a sponsor in our second season, but that's the whole point is like there's this gap in what little girls have to dream to be. And we're lucky now that, they can see Mary Philippe play on TV and they can see these girls at the Olympics. Obviously a thing that, the three of us also had growing up, but outside of that, we need them to be able to see themselves in more, more role models on TV on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
And I think at the core of it, that's something that's really kept our group united. And again, that's not to slight any other league or anybody else. I mean, I think everybody, in women's hockey is working extremely hard. I think we all want this game to move forward, and this is just our approach.
Absolutely, but I think that's we couldn't agree more. I feel like we've said that a few times. We're trying to do what little we can do from our chairs here to make some noise and bring light to it too. So I think
Exactly.
lightening it up a little bit. We do obviously I saw you on IG doing your little handshake with Erica Howe. Just for the listeners here, how dusty were your pads? Did you remember how to put your stuff on? And are we going to see you again at the upcoming Washington showcase?
You know what? I was lucky I got the pads on the right side. When I was a kid, I used to have the piping on the outside be a different color, so you would know that it always goes on the outside. But in the all black setup, I mean, it can get real confusing,
That's tough.
No doubt.
So no, they were pretty dusty. I'm not gonna lie. I've been playing, some beer league firefighter hockey on Thursday mornings with the boys. Just the last 6 months. So that's been a good ease back into the game after almost 3 years. But no, it was really nice to be out on the ice, honestly. And Carolyn Prevost came up to me in warm up and she said, "Do you miss it?" And I said, honestly, I didn't miss it until this very moment. Like that feeling when you're out on the ice with your team and everyone's going and the tunes are there and you can just feel the vibe. I was just like, man, I forgot what that felt like. And spoiler alert, you will still be out in Washington. So I'm pumped about that.
Awesome.
Got a spoiler alert. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's great. Honestly, it's a great team.
It's and it's one thing that like when you play, like as soon as you say I didn't miss it until this exact moment, every hockey player knows exactly what you're talking about. As soon as you're around the players that you played with, you get the eye of the tiger going in the in pregame warm up. It's nothing like it. So could you maybe just dive into a little bit of what the behind the scenes looks like from a player perspective for one of these showcases? Like, it's we recognize that these are women that are, taking time away from their spouses, their kids and stuff like that. So what does a player perspective look like at one of these showcases?
Honestly, it's been really unique. And the one thing before I give you like a snippet of what it looks like the sacrifice that these players have made, in terms of what they're giving up at home or at work, or even, jumping ship and going to a different league. Like, it's no secret in this circle of players that this is not where we want it to be, but it's put on by literally a handful of extremely hardworking people and our volunteers and the people that we have on our events coordinating side, marketing. It's all the same, core group of people. So the fact that now that I've been on the other side of it, the fact that we can pull these things together to me is just like they're the ones making the biggest sacrifices, right? Like these are women with full-time jobs that are still devoting like 40 hours a week to putting these showcases on. So we're extremely grateful for them. But it's a really fun vibe, honestly, because like we said at the beginning of the show, like you show up to the rink, we know all the players on all the teams. We've played with everybody. So yesterday, for instance, like we were down in the locker room getting ready and Montreal was coming in, getting ready for their game. We're in between periods. And of course, I saw Cax. So I was like, well, I got to get out of the room and go say hi to the girls.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So we're all in the room and we're throwing out hugs and high fives. And it's just great to see these girls. And I think in those moments, you kind of really realize how big this family is. And yeah, of course, we get on the ice and it's highly competitive because every game matters. Every game is a chance for you to go on to the gold, the championship game, which is the only chance you have to take home some money. So It's created a really competitive environment. But once you step off the ice, it's so fun. It's so fun to be around, these elite level hockey players who are, on the same path with the same mentality as the rest of us, which is just we're slugging out these few years and we're getting closer every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you plugged Cax there. Addie and I were talking about it. It's a Noxie and Cax show finals. So
Yeah,
that's pretty exciting.
That's it. You know, if I thought I was going to get the nod to start, I'd say we could get a tilt going or something. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't think
right
that's in the
on.
cards for me.
Yeah, right on. We do want to. I know we don't want to steal too much of your time, but we do want to give you an opportunity. You know, I've talked about it on the show before. Addie and I have talked about it. I drove from Brandon to Winnipeg yesterday and was listening to the Noxie and Cax show, the most recent episode with Cassie Campbell Pascal, which I'm a big fan of yours, both of you, and everything that you're doing. So I wanted to give you a chance to, you know, talk about how that kind of came to be. You know, and I think the message is obvious that you're just trying to bring these players to a new level of understanding for the fans. But can you talk to us, you know, how did that get rolling and what can we expect in the future? We saw that it was 10 weeks and I was choked about that, bud.
Yeah. So the opportunity kind of came like out of the blue. I'd been on Steve Dangle podcast a couple times, especially when the CWHL folded. And I know Steve and Adam Wild and, you know, kind of knew Jesse Blake or the three guys on their show. And yeah, Adam called me on the blue, was like, hey, I want to do a women's hockey podcast. I was like, yeah, that's sick, man. Like, you want me to come on and talk? And he's like, no, I want you to host it. And I was like, Adam, like, I don't even listen to podcasts. Like, you know, like, what are you getting me into? He's like, no, it's fine. He's like, just be yourself, have some great guests on, talk about hockey, or talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I could do that. Like, so he's like, you need to think of a co-host. And I was like, instantly, I knew I wanted to have Cax on. Like, I had a couple other people in mind. Obviously, Ayla Sporfar, she's already kind of in the sports media scene.
Right, yep.
And obviously, you know, I have some close friends like Erica Howe that I just knew I would have a good time with. But it was really important for me, honestly, to, you know, fairly represent our French population. I mean, their fan base is so tight. And Cax and I go back to, you know, CWHL Players Association days. And she's just a girl that, like, every time I see her, you know, typically it's at a bar, but every time I see her, we just get along so well, and it's lighthearted, it's fun, and she's got an incredible perspective for the game, you know, working for Sport Logic. So
yeah,
I actually ran into her at Kingston at the rivalry series game, and I said, Cax, I got a crazy idea for you. I might be starting a podcast. Do you want to be my co-host? She's like, yeah, no, actually, yeah. I'm like, no, this is a sober conversation now. Like,
yeah.
Because, you know, we're really doing this. She's like, no, yeah, let's do it. So it's so fun. And that's pretty much what the show is. I mean, you know, we're very fortunate to kind of know our guests and already have a certain level of trust. And as you guys know, I mean, that's just like just me coming on here. Like, you're talking to your pals.
Yeah.
And, you know, you give them the opportunity to tell stories that they want to tell. And of course, you know, it's just about telling their story. And I think that's one thing in women's hockey that we need more of, because it's great to see, you know, the snippets of these elite athletes, but who are they away from the rink? You know, you see in the gold medal game, like the easiest story obviously is Marie-Philippe Plante. She scores the biggest goals in women's hockey history. What is she like away from the rink?
Sure.
And you know, she's definitely on our radar to have a guest on, but she's exactly as she seems. She's humble, you know, she's adorable, she's kind. And we just want to try to give, you know, our already women's hockey fans, and then expand. Say, hey, these are some of the people that, you know, represent us, and they're incredible. They're funny. They've, you know, a lot of them have full-time careers outside of hockey, and it's just a good time.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It is. Podcasting is such a good time.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that a lot too throughout our podcast, is people resonate with the athletes. So like, you guys are playing in Steve Yzerman Arena. He's my favorite player growing up. I was like, you have these, because when you get to know them, you feel more connected to them, and then you feel more connected to the things that they're a part of in their community. So
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing. Has there been any major takeaways or stories that have come up that have kind of surprised you guys, or any
I mean, the Alexis Miller, like, when she just like casually told us that she biked across the states.
yeah. I know.
I was
That was
like,
wild.
Like, and you guys know this, like, you go into, so we give our guests like kind of a rundown. Hey, this is what we're going to, you know, try to talk about. And then anything else you want to, you know, any direction you want to go, we'll just go with you. And so, like, it's funny because it's an art to like really figure out what things are like okay, that was just a comment, or like, whoa, 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 hold on, you
Let's
bite
dive
the
in
Yeah.
here.
crust. Yeah, like, we can't just let that slide. Like that's a regular thing that ordinary people do.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like, it's honestly it's fun. It is a little like you guys I'm sure understand, but it's like a little bit of pressure because you feel like you're trying to get the answers that your average listener would want and take the pod in the direction that the average person will want to go. So yeah, there's definitely been some great stories, and I just like when the players honestly there's I would say like midway through you can see the players just relax,
Yeah.
and then the F bombs start coming out when they're talking
Yeah.
about their teammates. And I just love that. Like, I just love to get like a real feeling from them of authentically who they are.
Absolutely. Well, Addie and I have a segment that we do, or we're going to continue to do more of. We did one when we wanted to have beers together one night.
Yeah.
It was right before New Year's, and so we call it Beers with Beauties. And so if we get an opportunity again, we'd love to have you and Cax on the show where we can get
Oh,
some
that
video
is
rolling
right
and
up
get
our
some
alley.
brews. Yeah, and we can chat for an hour versus stealing 15 minutes of your time here today. But appreciate you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy, and you're in Ottawa at the PWHPA showcase. So, good luck today. We'll be watching from our couches here in Winnipeg. But want to give you one final opportunity, Noxie. Where do people find you, either on social or your pod?
Yeah, you can easily follow me at Twitter at Noxie27, I believe. I'll be honest, I came back to Twitter after 3 years of a hiatus, so I try to stay active on there. But the pod's on Apple, iTunes, and yeah, you get Spotify, and yeah, I mean, social media is great, but hopefully, we get to see you guys out at some games, and certainly
Absolutely.
down the road as well.
Right on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Noxie, for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Okay. Cheers, bud.
Bye.